darkness, my old friend.
What is up everyone, Mark here, welcome back to my channel, welcome if you're new. With Eurovision 1 week away, I'm going to be giving a few personal awards to a few of these entries in no particular order. So with that said, let us begin with my first category, which is my favorite band. For each of these categories, I'm going to be giving 4 nominees. So for this category, my 4 nominees are Germany, Australia, Slovenia, and Ireland. Now there were quite a few bands to choose from, but for me, of the nominees, my favorite band is Joker Out. They are of course, Slovenia's participants for ESC, and one of the most charismatic bands we've gotten by far in any year of ESC. Joker Out is not only an amazing band, but offstage, if you've seen any of their interviews, any of their just activities in the pre-parties and just in general, they seem like a lot of fun to be around. They also have great interactions with some of the other artists, including other bands like Wild Youth. They really have great chemistry with everybody. I think one of the other great pairings I've seen is Joker Out and Katja from Finland. They need to do a collab. But in any case, let us move on to my second category, which is my favorite ballad. Now there were plenty of ballads to choose from this year, as there are in many years of Eurovision, but these are the 4 that really stood out to me: Estonia, Armenia, Italy, and Switzerland. There are definitely plenty of songs that you might also consider ballads this year, but these are 4 the ones that are definitively ballads and that I really do enjoy. So of these, my award goes to Brunette Future Lover. Armenia wins my award for favorite ballad. They are sending a powerful entry this year. Brunette has proven herself to be a fantastic artist who has both given us a great music video and some really great live performances in the Eurovision pre-parties. I mean, look no further than her performance in Eurovision in concert. She was incredible in that performance. Her vocals were on point. Now, you might be wondering why Estonia or Italy or Switzerland or Netherlands or any of the other ballads have not gotten my award. The only reason why is just because I feel like Armenia has the most elements out of all these ballads that I really enjoy. It has that amazing climax towards the end, that language switch, and that crescendo in Armenian, and the song is just one that I listen to a lot more than the other ones. I think a close second in terms of my favorite ballad would be Marco Mengoni's Due Vite from Italy. However, the issue with that song is that it is a pretty standard male ballad that doesn't do anything that different for me, especially not anything that different from previous male ballads from Italy, and just doesn't connect with me as much as Future Lover does. Future Lover just takes me on a journey. I love the way it starts off slow and melancholic, and then you do have that switch into the rap, which I wasn't the biggest fan of at first, but you know, I have gotten used to it. And then you have those last couple English choruses, and then that final big crescendo. It takes me on a journey. I don't get bored listening to it. I mean, Armenia just really does not miss when it comes to Eurovision, and I'm just really excited to see what they do next. So with that, let's move on to my next category, which is my favorite pop song. Now, we got some pretty great pop songs this year, and these are a few of them. So my nominees are as follows, in no particular order: the UK, Denmark, Israel, and Iceland. These are 4 songs that I think we could confidently classify as pop songs, and are some of the pop songs that I really like this year. I personally am not such a huge fan of pop, so you might notice that these songs are not exactly in my top 10, but they are still songs I like a lot, and I think they should be recognized. So for me, the award for favorite pop song goes to Israel. This is of course Noah Kirill with the song Unicorn. This is by far my favorite pop song this year. This is such a catchy entry, so much fun, and also does a lot of cool things with the pop genre. This doesn't feel like a standard typical pop song, even though it does have a lot of elements that you find in other pop songs. It incorporates stuff like the dance break, those verses in Hebrew. I also really like that little refrain where she goes, "It's gonna be phenema, phenema, phenomenal." I think that's actually really fun, and it's probably one of the catchiest parts of this song. And I also loved the music video. She had a great music video. I thought it was fantastic. Really gave me an idea of what the song would look like on stage. Vocals on point, dance break amazing. I have no doubt that this will do well. So with that, let's move on to my next category, which is best staging before the show. So now I know we have rehearsals and everything, so we have an idea of what the staging is going to be like in Liverpool, and this is for staging that was from before the live show, so national finals, pre-parties, etc. But really this will be from the national finals. So my 4 nominees are Sweden, Spain, Malta, and Serbia. And my winner is Spain. Now this was a very tough one to choose actually, because a lot of the songs this year, a lot of the entries have had really great staging in their national finals, and these 4, you know, Spain, Malta, Sweden, and Serbia all gave us such great and creative staging. But Blanca's staging in Benidorm Fest, at least for me, just stood out the most out of all of these. I found it to be just shockingly good, and it honestly was one of the things that totally made me change my opinion about this song. Going into Benidorm, I did not really think much of Aya Aya. I thought it was a pretty good song in its own right, but it just wasn't on my radar. I was really looking at Agony or Megara and all these other contestants. But just seeing that staging, not even hearing, of course, Blanca's amazing vocals, just captivated me. And I mean, just look at these clips. I mean, this is some really out there staging. I mean, look at this one part where Blanca does that little bow and arrow thing with her arm, and then this moment with this red thing here. I mean, I don't know what exactly was going on there, but it looked really cool. And yeah, everything here just really stood out to me. The blocking of this worked really well too, the way Blanca is walking around the stage. And of course, I also loved the other nominees. I mean, Sweden had amazing staging. That kind of sandwich she was in was really iconic. I also loved, of course, Malta's staging. I love the way they had those different phases. I like the way they were so out of the box with it. And I, of course, also loved Luke Black's performance. I mean, that staging made me feel like I was in a video game, which was really cool. And I really loved the overall atmosphere of these. I feel like Spain had the most striking, the most memorable staging, gave us something that we've never quite seen before. So with that said, let us move on to my next category, which is my favorite music video. As you might know, we got a lot of great music videos this year. I mean, lots of them. And there were a couple that for me stood out a lot. So here are my 4 nominees. We have Austria, Latvia, France, and the Czech Republic. These are just 4 of the many great music videos that stood out to me, but which one will get my number 1 spot? These are all great entries with great music videos, but the award goes to Austria. This is of course for the song Who the Hell is Edgar? Austria gave us one of the most fast-paced and energetic music videos that we've gotten this year. This video also has a dance to it, and I don't think there's any other entry that really does that. And as you might know, I'm a big fan of dance entries. Again, I loved Dottie Frere, also loved Subwoofer last year with their song Give the Wolf a Banana, and songs like that just kind of give us a dance that anyone could really dance along to. So that as well is one of the largest differentiators that makes it stand out so much, and just one of the many reasons why this is my favorite music video of the 2023 season. Really love what Austria gave us this year, and I just hope that a lot of the elements in this video are brought to the Eurovision stage, because I feel like if we have a good dance entry from Austria, they will do very well. We will definitely see them in the final, and also people on TikTok will have a fun dance to do, which will also give a lot of good publicity to the song. So those are my thoughts on that. I think this is a great music video. Again, love the beginning and end with the Who the Hell is Edgar, and I just love the energy of it. So with that, let's move on to my next category, which is my favorite intro. And this is an interesting category, but this is basically my favorite first couple seconds of a song. It'll make sense in a second, I promise you. Here are my nominees. First, we have France with Lazara Evidemment, who had this intro. Then we have Portugal, of course, Mimi Cat Ai Coração, which had this intro. Then we have Israel, Noah Kirill Unicorn with this intro. And then we have Latvia, which is Sudden Lights Aya, with this intro. Of these 4 intros, my favorite is Portugal. I love the intro to Ai Coração. I think it instantly pulls you into the song. It is fast, it is jarring, but not in a bad way. I just love the way she pulled this off on stage, again with that couch and all the props that they had in Festival de Canção, and I hope they bring that to Liverpool. I noticed in the rehearsal that she does not have a couch on stage, but I still have faith in Mimi Cat that the intro will be just as, if not more effective, in Liverpool. And while Portugal is my favorite, the other intros are great too. I think Latvia has one of the most unique intros for sure. I also think Evidemment and Unicorn have very similar intros, but I love the style of them. They are very cinematic. For me, Portugal just has the most memorable to me. I mean, it just sets the tone for that song so well, and is one of the many things that makes that song stand out so much to me. So with that, let's move on to the next category, and this is most underrated. Okay, I've been waiting a while to talk about this, but here are some of the songs that I think are currently quite underrated. My 4 nominees for this category are Moldova, Iceland, Latvia, and Lithuania. If you've been following Eurovision this year, you may or may not agree with this, but for me, these are the songs that I find are quite underrated. I have not seen too many people talk about these songs, and when I have, they aren't really talking about them as if they're top contenders. And not saying all of these are top contenders, but I think that they deserve a lot more credit than they've been given so far. So of these songs, which will be, in my opinion, the most underrated, if you haven't seen my tier list video yet, which I highly suggest you do, you might know that one of these songs is in my S tier, and that one is Moldova. So much potential, so good, and is a total standout this year too. I mean, Pasha is an incredible artist. He had great staging, great vocals, vocals, a great show in the Moldova national final, and his rehearsal was just as good, if not better. However, I have not heard a lot about Moldova. I mean, I've not heard a lot about these other entries either, but with Moldova, people aren't really talking about it as what you might call a top tier contender, which is surprising to me because I think Pasha is bringing such quality. I mean, this is such a unique entry, such a powerful entry too, that it surprises me that not a lot of people are taking this one that seriously, or at least putting it that highly in their lists. Now, the other songs I think are definitely underrated too. Iceland is sorely underrated. I think Delia has an amazing song, and even though her vocals were a little bit shaky in the Icelandic national final, I have no doubt that she'll pick things up in Eurovision and really give us a great show. Moving on from there, we of course have Latvia. It's not in my top 10, but that's just because I like some of the other ones a bit more. I think it deserves more recognition and is definitely underrated. Beyond that, we have Lithuania with the song Stay, which, yeah, I mean, didn't have the most unique English lyrics, sure, but she's bringing a lot of Lithuanian cultural elements and also some of the best vocals in this competition. So it also surprises me there that not a lot of people are talking about Lithuania as potentially a top 15 song or even a qualifier. But I feel like Moldova is just the most underrated because it is easily S tier for me, and so it is a bit surprising when I don't see it ranked as highly as I have it in my list. So with that, let's move on to my next category, which is my most streamed on Spotify. These 4 nominees are going to be the songs that I have listened to the most on Spotify, and these countries are Finland, Slovenia, Ukraine, and Sweden. These are all the entries that are quite high up in my on repeat playlist and songs that I just listen to like just all the time, really. So of these 4, who do you think will be my most streamed? As a matter of fact, tell me in the comments, what is your most streamed entry for Eurovision? Have you guessed yet? Have you commented? Drumroll please. The award for my most streamed on Spotify goes to Slovenia. If you've seen my previous videos, you might not be surprised. Carpe Diem is exactly my type of music. It is pretty much indie rock. If you've seen some of my other content, you might know I cover indie rock bands too, like Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy, and it's a genre that I just love a lot and have loved since I was in middle school. So seeing a song like this in Eurovision was such a delight to me, and I've been listening to this song on loop ever since. It is no surprise for me, at least, that Slovenia is in my #1 spot for most streamed on Spotify. This song has gone into my regular playlist, not even my Eurovision playlist, because it is a song that even if it wasn't a Eurovision song, I would listen to consistently, and is one I think will be in my Spotify on repeat for quite a while. The other ones I listen to a lot too. Cha 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 is the perfect hype song. I listen to it at the gym. It works wonders. Tattoo, of course, is amazing, and the kind of song that will get you hyped up at 3 a.m. And then from there, I also want to give a shout out to Ukraine, because I do think Heart of Steel is a great song. While I don't rank it that highly because of its lack of cultural elements, and because it is a pretty standard electronic kind of song, I think it sounds great and I listen to it a lot. And so with that said, let us move on to my next category, which is my biggest guilty pleasure. And this is going to be a pretty funny category, but here are the 4 nominees: Belgium, Croatia, Azerbaijan, and San Marino. These are all songs that I listen to from time to time, and while they're not my favorites just overall, I tend to find myself listening to them a bit more than I would like to admit. So of these songs, which one is my biggest guilty pleasure? Take your guesses, take your bets, comment down below what your guilty pleasure song is, and with that said, drumroll please, let us announce my biggest guilty pleasure, and that is Gustaph, Because of You. Yes, this is Belgium, and it is the song that I listen to way more than I would like to admit. This is a song that I definitely did not think in a million years I would listen to as much as I do, but here we are. It is super fun, super fast paced. Gustaph has an amazing voice, and what can I say? The song just has really positive energy too. I mean, while I don't find it to be as interesting or unique or musically groundbreaking as a lot of the other entries we got this year, I still like it a lot. It does what it's meant to do, and that is to lift your spirits and just give you a good time. So that is why it is my biggest guilty pleasure. These other songs I do listen to every now and then. San Marino's song, Like an Animal, I actually listen to quite a bit. It's not my favorite, but I actually do find some enjoyment in it too. And Croatia's song Mama Sh, I think is actually pretty fun. Again, the big issue I have with that song is kind of just the staging, which I was a bit let down by. And then the other guilty pleasure I have is, of course, Azerbaijan, which I don't think is the best song for Eurovision, but it is a pretty good song for my playlist. So these 4 songs are definitely guilty pleasures for me. If any of these are your guilty pleasures, or if you have any guilty pleasures that are not listed here, please comment down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. And with that, let's move on to my next category, which is the biggest surprise this year. This is the song or the entry from a country that usually doesn't send songs that I rank that highly, or songs that I don't really personally click with that much, that have this year sent songs that have really impressed me and have kind of pushed the limits of what we expect from these countries. So with that said, my nominees are Germany, of course, Romania, Albania, and Georgia. Of these, who was my biggest surprise? My answer for this kind of changed a bit, but right now it is Georgia. Georgia for me was the biggest surprise by far. Watching the music video, not knowing the lyrics, I fell in love with it. I thought it was great. Then I dug into it a bit more, read the lyrics, and was very let down. I was like, wow, this is not that great. Because the thing is, Georgia usually sends songs that just have not done that well in Eurovision, and I really thought for a second, like, wow, this can qualify, this can do well, this can bring Georgia back to the top 10, finally. But the lyrics just weren't giving. So I kind of wrote this song off after that and said, okay, Georgia just did not send a good entry. Let's move on. Let's talk about like Armenia and all these other new entries we were getting at the time. And then I saw Iru in the pre-parties, and she was incredible. Amazing vocals, great staging, great presentation, great everything. She was so professional, just stole the show in those pre-parties, honestly. And that is why Georgia became my biggest surprise, because even with those weak lyrics, which frankly are pretty bad, I think this song has great chances at qualification and is just so good. Iru is incredibly talented, and I think her vocals and all of her talents as an artist will more than make up for the barely noticeable lyrics. With that, we have just 2 more categories to go. Let us get into the most important category of this list, which you definitely are not ready for. This is incredibly important and will determine the fate of the universe. This is Best Baby. It's kind of crazy, but here are my nominees for Best Baby. We have Poland, and this might surprise some people, but it's also Poland. Of these, which one has the best baby? You guessed it. It is Poland. This is Blanca with a song Solo, and I think if any song had a perfect baby, it would be this one. Blanca's baby is just so on point, so captivating. It just pulls you in and puts you in a trance. You just don't want to leave because Blanca is holding you captive with the powers of baby, and all glory and votes must go to her. 12 points for baby. And so with that, that is the end of my video. Wait. What's that, you ask? There's one more category? Wait, what's that sound? My last category, if you haven't guessed it, is the one that got away. The one that got away this year is, without a doubt, Jan with the song Gladiator. I am obsessed with this song. I still listen to it all the time. It is one of my liked songs on Spotify, and it takes a lot for a song to get up there for me. Jan is a fantastic performer. He gave the performance of a lifetime in the Polish national final, even though they gave him minimal staging, and I am just obsessed with this song. Jan is incredible. Gladiator is incredible. Jan would have obviously qualified and probably would have made the top 10. I mean, this is art right here, and honestly, it is just so confusing to me how Blanca won. Well, maybe not that confusing. I mean, if you know, you know. It just astounds me that Jan is not going to Eurovision. I still haven't gotten over it, to be honest. But hey, still, we have it on Spotify. I'm sure Jan will continue to do great work and hopefully one day make it to the Eurovision stage. But for now, he will at least remain one of the all-time greats of all national finals ever. And of course, the one that got away for Eurovision. So for me, these are all my categories for Eurovision this year. Let me know if you agree, disagree down below. Let me know your winners for these categories. And also, let me know what you're most excited for in Eurovision this year. With that, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help support the channel, and also be sure to check out my new Patreon, link in the description. With that said, thank you all once again. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time. Peace.